We'd been talking to him for months. Now, wait a second. They'd only been talking to me for weeks. So they probably would have gone ahead with.
At 84, Harrison Ford has reached a point in life where Polish no longer matters more than honesty. For decades, he cultivated a reputation as Hollywood's quiet professional, the man who showed up, did the work, and went home without feeding the gossip machine. But time has a way of loosening old restraints. And when Ford finally began reflecting openly on his career, he didn't sugarcoat the truth. Not every collaboration was smooth. Not every co-star earned his respect. Some tested his patience so deeply that the tension never really faded, even when the cameras stopped rolling. Ford didn't hate lightly. His frustrations were rarely about ego alone. They came from clashing work ethics, broken trust, and very different philosophies about what it means to show up for a film. When he looks back now, these 5 names stand out, not because they ruined his career, but because they pushed him to the edge of what he could tolerate. Sean Young. When Ford stepped onto the rain-soaked, neon-lit set of Blade Runner, he was already a global star, but the production itself was grueling, bleak, and emotionally draining. His dynamic with Sean Young only made it harder. From the beginning, they approached acting from opposite ends of the spectrum. Ford preferred restraint. He conserved energy, trusted instinct, and believed emotion should surface naturally in front of the camera. Young wanted to talk everything through: motivation, blocking, emotional logic. To her, discussion was preparation. To Ford, it was friction. The tension peaked during her intimate scenes. Young questioned pacing and emotional buildup, wanting clarity before committing. Ford felt the moment was being overworked, stripped of spontaneity. Crew members noticed the chill between them almost immediately. Silence replaced conversation. Looks replaced dialogue. Ford later admitted that the difficulty of the shoot had less to do with the story and more to do with the emotional disconnect between them. Ironically, that distance became part of the film's haunting power. Their cold chemistry helped define Blade Runner, but for Ford, the process left a permanent sour taste. 2 decades later, on the set of Hollywood Homicide, Ford found himself paired with Josh Hartnett, a rising star at the height of early 2000s fame. Hartnett brought a loose, improvisational energy. Ford brought decades of discipline. From day one, their rhythms clashed. Hartnett got to experiment with dialogue, occasionally pitching alternate tones or jokes. Ford believed the script existed for a reason. If something needed changing, it should be deliberate, not impulsive. One disagreement over the tone of a scene reportedly ended in a long, uncomfortable silence on set. No shouting, no explosion, just 2 men standing on opposite sides of how films should be made. Ford saw Hartnett as unfocused. Hartnett saw Ford as rigid. Neither was wrong. They were simply incompatible. Years later, Hartnett admitted he had been overwhelmed by fame and pressure at the time. Ford acknowledged they eventually reached mutual respect. But the experience reinforced something Ford had learned repeatedly. Talent alone doesn't guarantee harmony. The fallout with Shia LaBeouf wasn't born on set. During the filming of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Ford treated LaBeouf like a younger colleague, even a potential successor. He admired his raw ability and energy. On set, things were cordial, at times even warm. That changed completely after the film's release. LaBeouf publicly criticized the movie, the script, and his own performance. To Ford, this crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. He viewed filmmaking as a collective effort. Publicly tearing down a project meant disrespecting everyone involved, especially Steven Spielberg, whom Ford deeply respected. Ford didn't hide his disappointment. In rare blunt remarks, he called LaBeouf's comments foolish and unprofessional. Behind the scenes, the rift was final. Their relationship dissolved entirely. LaBeouf's absence from later Indiana Jones projects spoke louder than any statement. For Ford, loyalty isn't optional. Once broken, it's nearly impossible to restore. Working with Alec Baldwin on Working Girl was less explosive, but no less uncomfortable. Baldwin was intense, talkative, and eager to explore every emotional angle of a scene. Ford preferred economy. He believed the quiet choice often carried more weight than the loud one. Baldwin questioned motivations. Ford trusted subtext. At one point, Baldwin pushed for a more confrontational delivery in a scene. Ford calmly disagreed, explaining that restraint was the power. The set never erupted into chaos, but the distance between them was clear. Between takes, they rarely spoke. Baldwin later admitted he admired Ford but struggled to connect with him. Ford respected Baldwin's talent but found his approach exhausting. Their scenes worked precisely because of that tension, but Ford never pretended the collaboration was enjoyable. For him, Baldwin represented a kind of intensity that overwhelmed rather than clarified.
It's so clear, her value and what she brought, not just to Star Wars, but to all of our lives. I'll miss her.
We'd gone through it all.
No relationship on this list is as complicated as Ford's with Carrie Fisher. Their bond began on the set of Star Wars and blurred the line between personal and professional. Fisher was young, emotionally open, and endlessly expressive. Ford was older, married, and fiercely private. Their brief affair was intense, confusing, and deeply human. On set, their differences sometimes collided. Fisher thrived on humor and connection. Ford valued silence and distance. That mismatch created emotional friction. Fisher later described Ford as capable of great kindness without words and devastating coldness with them. Still, there was real affection beneath the tension. After Return of the Jedi, their relationship evolved into a complicated friendship. When Fisher revealed their affair decades later, Ford chose silence, a choice that spoke to his lifelong instinct to protect privacy. Her death in 2016 hit him hard. Despite the conflicts, she remained one of the most significant figures in his life. Not hatred, but unresolved complexity placed her on this list. Looking back, Ford's frustrations with these co-stars weren't rooted in cruelty or arrogance. They came from deeply held beliefs about professionalism, loyalty, and respect for the craft. He never demanded admiration. He demanded commitment. At 84, his reflections aren't about settling scores. They're about telling the truth while there's still time. In a career defined by iconic heroes and quiet strength, these tensions reveal something equally important. Even legends are human, and sometimes the hardest battles happen far from the screen.
I haven't really changed. She knew she could rely on me. She knew she could relax and be herself. Not that she couldn't with even a total stranger, but that was something that I really treasured.